Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the four card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Overeem versus Volkov. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card and our first fight on the prelim. So in our first fight, we have a catchweight bout at 140, Osbourne versus Bondar. So look at this one right here. You got Osbourne. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's got some solid striking. I definitely say he's the more versatile, dangerous striker in this one, I would say. And he has solid grappling as well. We got Bondar on the other side. He's no slouch in the striking either. But I give Osbourne the edge. Grappling, I'll definitely give Bondar the edge. Wrestling, definitely give him a huge edge in the wrestling. And really looking at this fight, I'm really judging it based off the Brian Kelleher fight. And I did not like Osbourne's takedown defense in the Kelleher fight. Yes, it was a big step up. And yes, it was short notice, but did not like his takedown defense in that one. And didn't really like his takedown defense in his Contender Series fight either. But now going against Bondar, solid fight, like solid wrestler, solid striker, well, solid overall fighter, but definitely grappling aspect is his best area. And also I see like his patience in his fighting style. He's not a guy that's come out and swing loopy shots. He's a guy that really gets a feel of the fight and doesn't force anything. He's not a guy that's gonna see himself down a strike or down to two strikes, down to three strikes, and it's like try to force it, force action. He's gonna find those opportunities and then set up his takedowns. And that's where I really see this one playing out. Like Osbourne will have some success early, but Bondar will find these opportunities in the pockets, and these lapses of times are gaps and opportunities that Osbourne leaves in his striking or in his game. And that's when those periods of time, Bondar will pick up takedowns and be able to control Osbourne for large portions of the fight, get some ground and pound on Osbourne, and really just grind out a decision over him in this one. So like the patience and the wrestling, the fight IQ, the grappling, the control is what's going to lean to Bondar getting a decision. I think it's a clear-cut decision, probably 30-27, maybe 29-28, but I'm leaning to 30-27 for Bondar. So in this one, I have Bondar via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Youssef Zalal versus Seung Choi. And look at this one right here. You got two solid fighters right here. Choi is definitely underrated, but to get to the point of this one, I think Zalal is just the more well-rounded fighter. I think he's the more crafty. He's the faster striker, the more technical striker, and definitely the better grappler between the two. Choi might be more physically strong, but speed, transition, fluidity, technique, pretty much anything you want to name, all is in Zalal's side. And that's on the feet and on the ground. And I just think Zalal's going to be a little bit too fast, a little bit too crafty, a little bit too savvy in this one. It's going to be one or two steps ahead of Choi this whole one. So in this fight, I have Youssef Zalal via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, Molly McCann versus Lara Procopio. So look at this one right here. McCann is the better striker. Procopio is without doubt the better grappler. But one thing about McCann, striking defense isn't the best, but Procopio's striking defense isn't the best. But boxing, definitely striking overall and footwork, McCann is better in those areas. But again, not the best. You can have all this stuff, but are you really a knockout artist? Are you really it's good to have good striking, but I think a lot of times defense might be even more important because if you be all that good landing strikes, but if you're not that good at defending strikes, you're really just still ended up in a fight where you're allowing more opportunities for the fight to go either way. But you got a defense, you can shut people game off on the feet, or at least shut off people's offense. And then you can choose like, oh, I'm landing two strikes. I'm only landing like 5 strikes around, but you landing like one or none. But if you landed like I'm slick, I can land like 20 strikes, but the opponent land like 18, and their strikes heavy. I don't know where I'm going with this one, but either way, Molly McCann's striking defense isn't the best. So that just allows opportunities for, even though Procopio isn't his technical striker, oftentimes the less technical striker could get in the fight with a fighter that is more technical, but their defense isn't the best, and they can land just as many shots. They might not look as pretty, but they can outwork you. And McCann you can outwork me on her face, written right on her face, and has been written on her face a couple times, and even in fights she won. But either way, defense isn't the best, and grappling isn't the best. Her takedown defense is only 33%, so it's pretty mediocre. So you might say, oh, she's this and she's that, but her takedown defense is literally 33%, not the best. So I feel like she can get taken down. If anybody wants to take her down that wants to take her down, they can take her down. I'm not saying Procopio's going to take her down, look like Jordan Burroughs out there, but I feel like with her aggression, her pace, and her style, she's going to get some takedowns out there. I think she's going to get some large control time on McCann. I think it's kind of going to turn into kind of a sloppier, not the prettiest fight. McCann may be leading early, but Procopio working herself in the fight, making it a dog fight, then mixing in some takedowns, and then dominating McCann in the grappling aspects. I think it's like kind of a sloppier fight, but a fight where Procopio starts to wear down McCann, take her down again in the second round, and tap her out in that second round. So in this fight, I have Lara Procopio via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's bantamweight division, Karol Rosa versus Joselyne Edwards. So in this one, Edwards definitely has a lot of talent on her side, definitely a solid prospect, but I think this is a big step up for her, maybe a little bit too big and a little bit too early. She's coming off a good performance, and now she's taking this fight on short notice versus a far better opponent than she fought on her debut. And I don't know why she's taking it. Like, there's no real reason for her to take it. Maybe she's that confident in herself. Her team is so confident in her. But, yeah, she can win this fight. It's not like it's written in stone that she's going to lose this fight. And maybe her bet will pay off, or her team's bet will pay off. But I just got Karol Rosa in this one. I feel like Edwards, cardio definitely, she doesn't control her energy expenditure as well as she should. Like, so a lot of times we see her tired, like in that late second round, third round. Like, tired, she kind of does with all her power. Well, kind of a lot of times with all her power. Like, she'll throw a lot of flurries or throw that overhand or throw that right hand and, like, commit to a lot of this stuff too much, too early. Or, this pretty much too much. It's not too early, it's too much. Or when it's unnecessarily, then you kind of tired because you're putting so much into your strikes that you're tired in that third round. She's definitely, I would say, had the grappling edge, but I feel like a lot of her, like I said in a previous video, like a lot of her grappling is, she uses a lot of strength in her grappling. Like, the technique is definitely there. She's definitely a solid grappler. Like, the technique is definitely there, but she's forced a lot of stuff with her strength. And Rosa is a physically strong fighter and a technical fighter as well. So I feel like she can neutralize a lot of Edwards' takedown attempts because a lot of them are just muscle. I think Rosa is the stronger, more physical fighter in this one. So I feel like she can neutralize a lot of Edwards' game just by eliminating the strength aspect of Edwards. And this technically, maybe not out techniquing her, but out muscling her in these aspects. So Edwards can get the two parts of her game, which is muscling and technique. But you can stop the muscling aspect. Yeah. Now, outside of that, I just really think Edwards' pacing isn't the best. I think Rosa is a much more technical striker. I think she could neutralize a lot of Edwards' takedowns and maintain her, handle herself on the ground with Edwards if needed. Then on feet, I just think more so it just comes down to she's just more conservative with her striking and more precise, more sharp, more disciplined in the striking aspect, and then over her overall game, and that's going to lead to maybe a competitive first round. But then I think Rosa starts to edge it more so towards the end of that first round, second round, and definitely third round. And I see her beating Edwards to a decision. So in this one, I have Karol Rosa via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in another catchweight bout at 160, Justin Jaynes versus Devontae Smith. So Justin Jaynes is a solid fighter. I think matter of fact, he hasn't even really shown his best aspect about him, like, to me. And that was his wrestling. His wrestling is very annoying, very smothering. He's very strong and take you down, and even did it to his, Daquan Townsend, a whole middleweight, took him down, and they dominated him. But that was early in his career, so probably now his wrestling defense is better than that now. But either way, Justin Jaynes is more so a wrestler, grappler. But they started finding they got some knockout power and can knock people out, and they start forgetting about the other skills. But all that being said, I think even if he came with his striking and his wrestling, I think he would lose to Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is too big, too powerful, and also has solid wrestling defense. And he can neutralize the takedowns of Justin Jaynes, scramble, get back to his feet. And I think he's the longer, more explosive, more technical, faster, longer, harder hitting striker between the two. And that's as simple as it comes down. He can stop takedown, find Justin Jaynes' chin, and put him out. And I think it happens in the first round. So in this fight, I have Devontae Smith via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Timur Valiev versus Martin Day. Look at this one right here, cut and dry. Martin Day is an amazing Taekwondo fighter, decent grappling, but not a winner. He has solid technique. He should have won some more of these fights as far as in his UFC career. I think one of them was stolen from him, and one of them he was coming right back in and he got knocked out. But yeah, he had at least two of these fights he should have won. But again, it's a lot of these fights that come around that look real technical, look real clean, look real world class, but they just can't get wins. And Martin Day is falling into that category. But all that being said, even if he was a true winner, Timur Valiev, stylistically wise, has all the tools to win this one. He's a more well-rounded fighter. He fights at a higher pace, just as technical and more technical in more areas than Martin Day. So I feel like Valiev can definitely outworked Day in this one, and definitely mixing wrestling, his grappling aspect to really throw off Day's game and just put him behind and keep him behind, like mixing in the takedowns and then blending it with his striking and keeping Martin Day confused, keeping Martin Day off his game, keeping Martin Day off his toes, and keeping Martin Day behind 1-2 steps and just simply outworking Martin Day to a decision. So in this fight, I have Timur Valiev via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, Mike Rodriguez versus Danilo Marques. So look at this one. Marques striking didn't really impress me. His grappling really didn't impress me, but I see him as a fighter that can definitely pull off an upset against Rodriguez, who has in the past been laid and prayed at least once. Has been a fight stolen from him in his last fight against Ed Herman, was it? Yeah. Really should have stopped him like twice in that fight. But the ref didn't call. I think they said one was a nut shot, this was that. But either way, the fight should have been stopped at least once in that one. Clearly, at least once in that fight. But again, Ed Herman was able to take him down eventually in that third round and then tap him out. But yeah, so a guy that's definitely prone to some grappling. You got some good wrestling, or you could get him down. There's a chance of victory. I could definitely see this as an upset, like a very disappointing loss for Rodriguez. Another disappointing loss for Rodriguez. But outside of that, I just think Mike Rodriguez packs more power. He's more tactical, definitely on the feet. Grappling might want to avoid that for sure, but on the feet, even though Marquez is a pretty big boy right there, I think Mike Rodriguez, like I said, more explosive, more tactical on the feet, and should be able to find the stoppage on Marquez. But it's probably going to, I'm predicting knockdown. It's probably going to end up being a sloppy decision, but I'm actually going to say Rodriguez get the second round TKO over this one. Didn't really like Marquez's defense, didn't really like his offense on the feet. And I feel like Rodriguez should be able to keep this fight on the feet for the most part, especially early, and not take it late and put him away in that second round. So in this fight, I have Mike Rodriguez via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have our prelim headliner in the 155 division, the lightweight division. Two longtime fighters of this division. Clay Guida have been around forever, and Michael Johnson's been around for a good long minute. So two guys that have been around the block quite a few times. So Michael Johnson versus Clay Guida. And look at this one right here. Michael Johnson is an amazing fighter, but his takedown defense actually is pretty decent. But as far as when he gets taken down, like he's good at defending the takedown, but when he gets taken down, not the best at getting back to his feet, and not the best at defending transitions or defending ground and pound or submission attempts. Transitions, ground and pounds, submission attempts, not the best at defending those. So if he can keep this on the feet, which he should be able to do, he'll put Clay Guida away, but I can't rely on that much. And I think Clay Guida has been the one who's evolved the most. Even though Clay Guida has been around for like 100 years and like a literal caveman, he actually started to get knockout power like 3-4 years ago. At first, he was a pillow-fisted fighter he'd been fighting for like 40 years. And then like 39, and like in his 38th year, he got knockout power. So made some improvements. Went to Team Alpha Mill, got better. But like that clock is still ticking. But Johnson been literally doing the same thing for like his whole career. 1-2, 1-2, sprawl, 1-2, 1-2, then maybe throw a head kick. But yeah, get taken down, become a helpless trash can. And I really can't rely on Johnson. Like he should win this one, but simply for the fact that Clay Guida, we saw him against Bobby Green, who also fought a similar opponent, Thiago Moises, and some other similar opponents. But either way, where I'm going with this is that Clay Guida is still relentless, still a cardio fiend and evolving. And if he shoots 20 takedowns, like he's bound to get at least one. And I don't think Johnson's going to do the best, especially as the fight goes on, going to do the best to get back to his feet. And Clay Guida's going to be there, happy to put him back down or attempt another takedown. And I see Clay Guida just grinding out an ugly decision over Johnson and yet another disappointing loss for Johnson. So in this fight, I have Clay Guida via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our first fight on the main card, Diego Ferreira versus Beneil Dariush. I said his name a lot better that time. So Ferreira versus Dariush. So these two fought in the past. In that past fight, Ferreira hadn't really improved his, hadn't really evolved his striking or really worked on the striking at all. It was purely just a grappler. And Dariush was the full mixed martial artist back then, was able to control the striking, take him down, both world-class grapplers, and really neutralize a lot of, all of Ferreira's submission attempts, control him on top, get large control time, and it really was the better mixed martial artist back then. Now, Ferreira has definitely improved his striking a lot, But Dariush is still the better striker. Grappling probably still a cancel. I mean, like still a cancel each other out, but wrestling still go to Dariush. And overall, studying Dariush is the better fighter. What I worry is Dariush, when he gets sloppy out there, Fajeda might catch him and knock him out. That's where I worry. But I think in this one, I think Dariush is going to still be the better mixed martial artist. Use his kicks, set up takedowns, and neutralize, get the takedown and neutralize Fierra's gaming. Just win off top control and some ground and pound. Mixing those kicks to the leg, kicks to the body, level change, takedowns, neutralize Fierra, and large control time. A more competitive fight than the first time, but similar to the first time. More competitive, but similar outcome. Similar round by round, similar play by play, but more competitive definitely because of Fajeda's improvements to striking. But only thing I would say if he loses, if Dariush get that chin touched, that's when the thing gets changes. But outside of that, same outcome basically, but a little bit more competitive. So in this fight, I have Manel Dariush via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, Cody Stamann versus Askar. So this is not Askar Askarov. Don't get confused by that. Number 3 ranked flyweight. This is an upper weight class, and this is a whole different guy and from a whole different country. So Askar. So Cody Stamann versus Askar. So let me just say Askar 2 times. He got some decent wrestling. He has got some solid power. He has the longer reach. I think he had like a 69.5 to like a 64-inch reach for Stamann or something like that. So he has a decent bit of reach over Stamann. But outside of that, can't really link him anywhere. I think Stamann has far better competition. Has doing it far longer. I think he's the better wrestler. Stamann has an amazing chin, an amazing work rate. I just think Askar just has not fought a guy that's like of Stamann caliber. Is getting thrown in very deep into the pool. Like they could have fought him, gave him a much lower competitor. But this is short notice, so short notice, a big step up. And I just think Cody Stamann just better in every area. And matter of fact, I would say Askar is a better boxer, but this is MMA, so those kicks and the relentless wrestling, Stamann's not really gonna allow you to really box him too much out there. He's gonna be putting that wrestling on you, and I think that's really gonna be the tell of the tape. He's gonna be put his wrestling on Askar, put his pace on Askar, and Askar's not going to be at a hole. He's going to wilt and get grinded to a decision. So in this one, I have Cody Stamann via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the flyweight division, Alexandre Pantoja versus Manuel Kape. So in this one, Pantoja is the better grappler for sure. Striking overall, probably the better striker. Boxing, Manuel Kape. Power, Manuel Kape. And where I kind of lean to Manuel Kape in this one, or why I'm leaning to Manuel Kape in this one, because I feel like Pantoja, at times with his hands, definitely in the pocket, he can get sloppy. And Kape has too much power. He's too slick in that pocket and good at finding his shot in that pocket. I feel like that's where Pantoja's going to make a mistake. And Kape has been ever improving on his grappling defense. And I feel like that's going to be too telegraphed on Pantoja's side. So I don't think he's going to have the success that, he could have with it, because that's what he's going to be going for. And Kape is a little bit like an unpredictable fighter, so you gotta, really approach him definitely a little bit cautiously in a way because of that power and because of unorthodoxness. But I think that's all going to play against Pantoja. It's going to make him get sloppy, and Kape's going to be to find his opportunities in the pocket and catch Pantoja and put him out in that second round. So in this fight, I have Manuel Kape via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's bantamweight division, Marion Reneau versus Macy Chiasson. So looking at this one right here, Marion Reneau, I think is the better fighter. I think she's the better grappler, maybe a better striker. Chiasson just a bigger, younger fighter. That's all I see. She can get better, but as of right now, or what I've seen, she's just bigger and younger. That's about it. She's not a bad striker at all. Grappling looked terrible in her fight against Lena Landsberg, but outside that, like a solid fighter. I don't know. She just laid an egg against Lena Landsberg, but I've already seen this one. All I'm saying about Reneau is, like I said, better striker in my opinion, a better grappler in my opinion. Like she could get her down, and Lena Landsberg could hold her down 3 rounds. Then Reneau probably could submit her, but Reneau is one of those fighters that she's already up there in age, and she also has been a proven late starter or a choke artist in big fights or in fights in general. And Chiasson's a younger fighter, still improving, still evolving. I really don't think Reneau's going to be evolving very much at her age. I think it's going to simply be a fight where competitive fight, but Reneau's going to lay another egg, Given her age as well, she's going to start to slow down, not be able to push the same pace that Chiasson can, and eventually it's going to be competitive early. But this fight drags. Oh man, it's either going to be competitive early, or it's going to be a case where Reneau turns it on late. But either way, it's going to be either too little too late, or she's going to simply just get outworked by the longer, stronger woman. So in this fight, I have Macy Chiasson via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event, Cory Sandhagen versus Frankie Edgar. So Frankie to answer Edgar. So Cory Sandhagen, this is definitely a fight where I feel like Cory Sandhagen can lay an egg in this one, especially with his takedown offense and how he kind of a slow starter and like that takedown offense. And Frank Edgar is one of the best wrestlers in MMA history. Definitely one of the best top games in MMA history. Definitely one of the better boxers, better strikers, better overall fighters. But I like, all around fighters. But he did not look the best against Pedro Munhoz, but Pedro Munhoz has much better grappling than Cory Sandhagen, a different frame than Cory Sandhagen. So the takedowns weren't there as much. And also there was threat of guillotines and other things present that Cory Sandhagen won't present to Edgar. But basically with this prediction, I'm going to lean to the youth in this one. Cory Sandhagen, the bigger, longer, younger fighter. I think he'll have a speed advantage over Frank Edgar, being the natural, more, the resident bantamweight. Even though Frank Edgar probably just as much of a bantamweight. Sorry, Sandhagen has been a bantamweight pretty much his whole career, so he's the more natural bantamweight, and also the younger, fresher fighter. I think he brings more tools. I think he'll exploit that reach. And this is going to be a very competitive fight. And now let me give Frank Edgar another rose or another compliment. Frank Edgar, he lost a Korean Zombie. That was one of his last fights, or was his last fight at 145. But prior to that, he fought a competitive fight with Max Holloway, who was, still one of the best 145ers out there and of all time. And literally look at his last performance. Max Holloway's still a very dangerous dude. So to still hold his own with Max Holloway, Max Holloway has got better since that fight. To even hold your own with any version of Max Holloway over the past 5 years or so shows that Frank Edgar is not really no shot fighter. And he looked good in his last fight, even though it could have went to Munhoz, but either way, I'm leaning to the youth of Sandhagen. I think he'll use that height, use that reach. It'll be outpace, use his box, use his boxing, use his limbs, be creative out there, and put on a beautiful display. I think it's a competitive fight, a very competitive, fun fight, but Sandhagen just outworking Frank Edgar in this one. Even though that's hard to say, I think it's going to be about the height and the reach and taking advantage of that Frank Edgar has to come in and picking apart as he come in and landing the more significant strikes. Competitive, close fight, but Sandhagen landing the more significant strikes and just really outpointing Frank Edgar in a very exciting fight. So in this fight, I have Cory Sandhagen via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our main event, Alistair the Demolition Man Overeem versus Alexandre Volkov. And how I see this one right here. So I feel like Overeem is the better fighter. Straight up, he's the better fighter. And I look back to the Czech Congo fight against Volkov, where Czech Congo was able to take him down and pound on him, Volkov, for 3 rounds and look like Khabib, or matter of fact, even more dangerous than Khabib, for 3 rounds against Volkov. Look at the Roy Nelson fight, the Timothy Johnson fight. Anytime anyone attempt to take him down or really in his face, Volkov does not look the same fighter. And I feel like Overeem could bully him in the clinch. I feel like Overeem could take him down and beat him up. And he definitely hits way harder than Curtis Blades and has better ground and pound than Curtis Blades. So I feel like he could do all that stuff. But he's up there in age. He's always been a chinny fighter. But then again, Volkov's not a heavy puncher. He's a volume puncher. He's not really a knockout artist. He can knock you out, but he's not really a known knockout artist. He's kind of a softer punching fighter, a softer hands fighter. He got heavy kicks, but punches is not very heavy. And Overeem is has at least adjusted his defense to his age to be able to survive and then outsmart fighters, outwork them, outgame plan them. But now also look at the Volkov fight. He got taken down like 20 times by Curtis Blades, but still had cardio there late. Not worried about that fight as well, because he saw a tired Blades, but still allowed a tired Blades to get like 2-3 takedowns on him in that final round, like with the 5th round, when he probably could have maybe worked to stuff them. You got a tired guy who's telegraphing takedowns. Why not just stuff him? Why not hit him with a knee or something? Why not spin off or something and then pick him apart while he's tired and possibly get a stoppage over him and win this fight instead of just allowing this tired man to labor towards you, then fall on you, take you down, and lay on you. Matter of fact, he was even literally not doing no ground and pound, not holding you down. He was just literally laying on you, and you didn't show no bravado to get up and put it on him. But so I worry about Volkov in this one. But again, I'm gonna lean to the youth in this one. I feel like Overeem should win this one, but I really can't lean to him too much against Volkov. Like I feel like time catches up with everyone, and Overeem should win this one, but it's gonna be a matter of time. And I think Volkov will probably get taken down and weather some storm, but eventually he'll be able to get back to his feet and start unloading on Overeem and really make him pay for those takedowns and pay for that energy expenditure, trying to go for that ground and pound, go for the finish, and then take him to like the third round, start to stuff the takedowns, and then start to put the volume on Overeem and put him away in that third round. So in this fight, I have Alexandre Volkov via third round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of UFC Fight Night, Overeem versus Volkov. And as always, thanks for watching.